Hi all and welcome to Expose Part 3. There have been many powerful and sometimes long shows exposing all kinds of lies, fraud, corruption, schemes and programmes ran against we the people, with varying degrees of unpleasantness. Some accuse our show of being negative, and that's okay. That is where those people stand in terms of their own development and understanding of this world. We at THI have never shied away from any topic, only the timing of such shows based upon our audience's readiness for certain types of information. We have taken on many difficult topics: feminism, the black issues, in fact every colour or race issues. We took on the unspoken issues surrounding the term Jewish. We took on the propensity for much evil in New York. We have taken on the gay, lesbian and transgender issues, eugenics, the Nazis and the Zionists. And his story was shredded to ribbons. Plus the ET issues on a wider scale than lights in the sky. And we recently took on another subject rarely covered or mentioned in any circle of astral rape. We did not do that for extra listeners or followers. In fact, most of our deeper topics, many others outside of our group, are just not ready for. I wish that wasn't the case, but it is. For most in the alt media wish to focus around the circus known as politics. Finger-pointing blame games, he said, she said, when politics and politicians are more irrelevant than we are. Politicians have no power. Yes, you heard that correct. Politicians have no power. But we the people do, and we have just forgotten to exercise that power. So THI has done them all, because no matter how uncomfortable many of these topics are, someone, and hopefully and eventually the many, has to out these things. It brings out of the darkness where they hide and reside into the blazing light for more to see and act upon. This will be a short and sharp jab that will cut deeply through every fibre of you this evening and beyond. Support each other during and after this broadcast, please, as you have always done. Get into it. I came across some documents about what is, frankly, something beyond evil. And we have covered much evil within our shows, and I wish to give credit to Jim Stone for revealing them. But knowing something and seeing something can and will bring differing emotions. These documents were put out about youth detention centres and the production of adrenochrome, involving children aged 3 to 13 years of age. This particular exposure, and there are many, many others, focuses on one company called CYM, located out of a science hub in Alderley Park in Cheshire, UK, between the cities of Liverpool and Manchester. This building was formerly called and owned by a group called ICI, who then changed the names to Zeneca Pharmaceuticals, then AstraZeneca. Oh my, AstraZeneca, the same company Trump sent money to develop the fake vaccines to. CYM bought the building from AstraZeneca in 2014. CYM's logo is caring is youth, youth is money, money is freedom. CYM, caring, youth and money. I don't know about you, but what has adrenochrome got to do with caring for the children? Youth is money is a sick and twisted title in and of itself. But money is not just an issue for this topic either, and is part of a wider range of issues. And whilst money remains the new God to have and worship, our society will continue to sink to new and deeper lows. They say the love of money is the source of all evil. This subject proves that statement beyond all doubt. I guess the word love, like caring, has a whole different meaning in their world, distorted into a massive confusion and bullshittery. Money is an off-world exchange program brought here to control people from the Orion system, in case you didn't know. And not just the lower class either. Try all people. It is used for bribery and seducement on a massive scale and corrupts most people into various levels of depravity. Child sex and ordinary trafficking, organ harvesting, body parts factories in China, all for the purpose of acquiring pieces of paper with numbers on them. I said in a previous show that when people fully understand your life force energy is far more important and precious than any amount of pieces of paper with numbers on, then our species will make a giant leap forward. CYM sends the deliveries of the adrenochrome to an address in Maryland, 200 Forbes Street, Unit 200, Annapolis. This is actually a pediatric centre. The name for this company for deliveries is Annapolis Pediatrics, and this is their spiel on their website. Annapolis Pediatrics has provided superior healthcare to infants, children, adolescents and young adults in Annapolis and the surrounding communities. In some cases, we have cared for 3 generations of families. We strive to provide high-quality medical care, from excellent clinical care to a positive customer experience for our patients and their parents. We have over 30 physicians and nurse practitioners in 5 locations: Annapolis, Crofton, Edgewater, Savannah Park and Kent Island. We also offer Monday to Friday walk-in hours at our Annapolis office for short sick visits, and please visit our website for more information on our practice and our providers. The mention of family generation in that piece may provide a clue. As often in these fields, certain families based on their blood, DNA and genetics are targeted for nefarious purposes. ET abductions was often run through family generations as well. Is that a coincidence? No, it's all connected. What they left off is, we also sell the life force of the children as well, all part of the service of these psychopaths. I hate to state this due to the fear it creates, but it needs to be said. Are there any 100% safe environments for our children anymore? Whether it be schools, where they indoctrinate them, and in some cases inoculate them without consent. Hospitals, doctors, day centres and paediatrics. And then we come to the frankly hideous and misleading name of all, Child Protection Services. Child Protection, my ass. They should be renamed CHS, Child Harvesting Services. Then you have a true reflection of what elements that group are up to. Then we go to other centres we have covered in previous shows, like eugenics and Planned Parenthood group, which is again a misnomer, as it's planned deathhood. And then they cut up the bodies and the fetuses and sell it onto these harvesting agents of darkness. I will ask again, is there any safe place to send your children anymore? The answer is no. The skullduggery involving children is far more vast than even you can attempt to imagine. I remember stating 4 or 5 years ago, may even be 6, that 900,000 children go missing permanently in America alone. Most said at the time that I was talking shit. I wish I was. But as time goes by, others have learned for themselves at a much later date, sadly, that much of what we stated years back in this show was largely true, no matter how unpalatable that information is and was. The document itself has names, ages, and the blood type of the children in these detention centres. But these children are not criminals. These are children acquired by the CPS or CHS and others, and then used for the elite purposes. The next categories on the document is right in your face. Custody months. As a random example, you have a 6-year-old child who has been detained for 30 months, which means that child was 3.5 years old when detained. The next category is just about as unpalatable as it gets. Adrenochrome quality. I mean, what the fuck is that shit? Adrenochrome quality. Quality control on children's life force energy. There is a subsidiary branch of this company, CYM, in New York, which will come as no surprise to our regular listeners. Each week we unearth more rogue operations and people, or otherwise, that a picture emerges and the pet name for that city is Gotham, is both telling and indicative. The company in New York, which is actually the headquarters at 725 Fifth Avenue, and having just mentioned Trump earlier, surprisingly or not, his name is involved again, as 725 Fifth Avenue is Trump Tower. The question arising is, why, if Trump is dealing with the children issues as stated by Kim, the trustee, does he have an adrenochrome headquarters company in his own building? At which point do coincidences cease to be that way and become an unpalatable fact? That maybe Trump is not what you thought or expected. I warned of him and his Israeli connections back in Cosmic Voice. I repeatedly warned Kim of issues with Trump, only to be ignored. My final straw with him for me was around April the 4th, when I told Kim that Kushner was doing foreign deals with India and China for PPEs. She made calls and confirmed it, and then revealed Kushner and FEMA, along with Gavin Newsom, were threatening American companies like 3M from selling PPEs to all Americans. Now, some people who are stuck in the party politics tribalism game will ask why Kushner and Newsom, who are rival parties, would work together. Well, both Kushner and Trump were Democrats before the last election. Oh my. In my opinion, they are all two sides of the same coin, and no different to the Rothschilds and Black Sun groups. One thinks they are the good guys fighting the bad guys, but both are bad for we the people. It is covered in the series Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. portrayed as the good guys fighting the Hydra group, but Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is Agents of Rothschild, and Hydra is the Black Sun. If Trump was legitimate, he would have fired Kushner on the spot. He didn't, and a week or so later appointed Kushner to another elevated position within the government, in addition to his current role in the White House. And at some point, Kim has to listen to the people who are advising her and actually take that advice on board. not ignore it. And then we, the people, all pay a heavier cost later down the line. How much we pay for that will be revealed in the closing months of this year, I suspect. But to all intents and purposes now, it appears that Trump has been playing Kim like a fiddle. I would love to be proven wrong, but evidence to this point leans otherwise. Back to the reason for this article. The database of children released is staggering, spread over 12 pages was enough, but this goes far wider than 12 pages of children. The next category is custody locations. Mostly they are in code, but I was able to decipher some of them, and all of them appear to be run by the US Army or military facilities. No doubt with large input from the rogue elements who run the CIA. Why would alleged child miscreants, should they be labelled that way, be housed in US Army chemical depots and bases? The answer is they are not child miscreants at all. And you're fabulous. Let's all wave our fucking flags at our military, and aren't they great and the bestest in the world are running adrenochrome harvesting centres on the children all over this country and beyond. I remember all the alt media goons all stating about mass arrests and people going to Gitmo. And I dismissed it, as I've heard of mass arrests since Wilcox started doing it in 2002 on the Skolnick report under the pseudonym of Art Aqua. Mass arrests didn't start with Drake. Wilcox did it a decade earlier. But evidence relating to Gitmo was produced online, which Trump has referenced himself, of expanding the Gitmo facility. Was it expanded for mass arrests? Well, no evidence has been produced to date for that. But other evidence emerges of what went into the expansion of Gitmo. You know what they put on their expanded base? They put a child detention centre there for adrenochrome harvesting. Go and check it yourself. It's on the sheet. I guess that was because Epstein and Necker Island is out of bounds now. Yet again, I warned that the Gitmo and mass arrest stuff was all bullshit, and as per usual, I got flack for denying their claims. And sadly, in this case, THI was proven correct again. At which point will people listen at the first rebuttal? You know, it's not really about me being right, but the information being right. And some take potshots at me for being right. But you're missing the point. It is the information that is important, not me. Most times the information is right. I personally wish I was 100% wrong. But people are dying in record numbers due to the propensity of several alt media outlets spreading pure hopium and their endless promises, none of which has come to fruition. We have gone from 2 weeks to tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow, Monday, Wednesday and Friday, week after week, to the latest version in the alt media of it's all happening by Monday or Tuesday at the latest. It never did happen. And it's way past time we quit that shit and focus on something real beyond how much sodden trust money you may or may not get. The bloody children are being harvested everywhere, and all we hear now is, where is the money, for sore's sakes? The next category on the list is called due for disposal. The latest date was 2025. And that, it appears, is when they kill all the children off. They all have a due for disposal date, which is what due to disposal means. If they were all just naughty children in detention centres, it would say date of release. No, they kill them all off around the age of 13 or less in most cases. Why age 13? Well, in most cases that is when puberty is reached, and perhaps that changes the quality of the adrenochrome. And maybe that is the reason why they have a cut-off date for these children. But then my pondering kicked in, and I realised that there's another potential connection of termination of 13 is also the time when children on their soul development level start to attain their astral level chord, and people start to develop on a deeper level. Except the astral is where many are infected or harvested by the astral level beings, and perhaps that is a connection. The next column tells you whether the child has attempted suicide or not. I presume in their sick thinking, a suicide attempt would increase the quality of adrenochrome, as that is based on producing maximum fear within the child. Adrenochrome is produced by torturing the child into maximum fear levels, and then via tubes punctured into the adrenal glands, they siphon off the fluids, to then process it via chemical labs housed within the US military bases, to then sell on to these elitists. These elitists are all your so-called stars on the TV, cable and movie screens. Your top sports and musician stars as well. All are involved in it. And yet the public worships them like gods. Like the gods in the holy books, both them and the current stars or demigods of the screen, which is why they are called elites. The real term is El, which means God, followed by ites. So, Godites. And what they are telling us all is that they are your new gods. Well, fuck that. Never, ever put anyone above your own heart. And I mean anyone. Both of those, quote, gods, unquote, share a common thread. The harvesting of humans. And all your favourite New Age style ET groups splattered all over the internet were also involved in this practice of harvesting or seeding humans. Coming to save us, my ass. They were using us to piggyback, harvest and for food. The next category, it states country of origin. That falls into 4 categories: American, Canadian, Mexican and Costa Rican. That is where the children are from. The latter of which is almost exclusively used for CIA retirees and so-called sleeping agents. Costa Rica. Then there's a category for daily quotas. Presumably the amount of times they extract the adrenochrome. That ranges from 1 to 25 times per day. Then they have an inmate number. But these are not inmates. Why would the US military house American, Mexican, Canadian or Costa Rican children? The inmate number is another sick game of theirs. It is the child's stock market number that they trade upon to make more money. The sales of adrenochrome comes in quality categories. A plus or A++ is traded with a minimum quantity sale of 100 milligrams for $1,920 per milligram. So that is $192,000 for that quantity and quantity. Next is B plus or B++. Again, the minimum sale is 100 milligrams and that is sold at $1,450 per milligram. And so that is sold for $145,000. Next is B- or below. The minimum sale is 250 milligrams and is 11 to 1200 per milligram, and that is sold for $275,000 to $300,000, depending on market rate of the day. The average age of the children used is between 8 and 9 years of age. The youngest is 3 years of age. The oldest on the database is just 13. Let's out some UK companies, shall we, that are involved in the purchases of this. Factor Therapeutics Europe, Warrington. Incantera Limited, Manchester. Bivitrex Therapeutics, Alderley Park, Macclesfield. Medimmune UK Limited, Speak. BT Management Services, Runcorn. Absinthe Biologics, Alderley Park also. It's all in the words again. Therapeutics, therapy, therapist. All words used for our benefit, they say. Then why does it have the rape or the rapist at the beginning of those words? It does because that is what they are doing. And before some get all sensitive and offended, that does not mean all who do that work are rapists. There is a reason a social services department is called human resources. What it is telling you is we are their resource. Top of the food chain, are we? That'll be a no. In essence, with this program, the rapists prey on human resources, which is the category therapists comes under within social services. Are you connecting the dots now? They have a code for it called Research and Experimental Development on Social Sciences and Humanities. On social sciences and humanities. On is the key word. UK SIC code 72200. In their sales pitch of the CYM website includes a description of the column suicide. It states this: only states suicide attempts. A finished suicide would be included in the disposal report. Now, I appreciate many of you do not wish to hear this information, as it's traumatic. But the outing of it stems the tide and their ability to hide. And I like it less than you all. I have to process it, then compose and deliver the information. Intel is not a nice field to be engaged in, and is often fairly brutal in the stuff you learn away from the public glare. The Jupiter Ascending program has descended to Earth, it seems. Perhaps it was always that way. You may wish to see this as a new operation. I personally know different. They've been doing this to us for tens of thousands of years. And it's something that the Earth Ambassador to the Universal Council has failed to address, given after the 2016 peace treaty, it should have ended this practice. People may say, and with some validity, it's not fair to blame Kim. But if you are elected to that title, you then have the direct responsibility to fix it. And the very fact she has so many titles now means her time is divided between various projects and issues. And she fails to delegate anyone to help her. And it has become a one-woman show. She said it on her own show. I'm doing it all alone with no help from anyone. And that practice and methodology not only damages her, as ultimately she will be held responsible for all of it, as she took the titles. If it all goes wrong, she carries the can, but damages us all too. This is not a minor operation. It is global, it is off-world, it is in-world, and it's also widespread. Final portion of tonight's broadcast. And I know this is fairly brutal to many of you listening, and I'm no different. But it has to be outed. Only then can people see the depth of the problem. Many people struggle and create very low barriers of depravity and won't go beyond it. This show smashed all the barriers. It was meant to. But THI also comes with solutions. And that's what we're going to end on. Now, recently, the trustee claims she has acquired more titles. And when you add that to the highest security clearance on the planet, plus an enforcement team, and can now do the complete package, it seems, as claimed. And with that in mind, as I have no reason to disbelieve her at this point, I am requesting her team end this shit this week. By sending the enforcement team to the addresses provided earlier and stop this heinous abuse of children. The stupid funds were never our priority and never were. That's not why I joined the trust. Should Mr. Trump have any clout or leanings to we the people, he, like the trustee, has made claims that have not been delivered upon for the benefit of we the people. I will now present a plan of action for him as well. As these detention centres are mainly housed on American military bases and soil, and under the Klan's own code, rules and statutes, the American military is not allowed to engage in war on American soil. I will repeat that again, for all Americans to hear and understand. The American military is not allowed to engage in war on American soil. And so if we are attacked by insert boogeyman, all created by the CIA, they will not defend you. You don't believe that statement? Go and research it for yourself, please. It is important for you all to understand in the bigger picture here and elsewhere the US military engage. 900 bases globally. Is that for this adrenochrome? You have to ask. So the American military is not allowed to engage in war on American soil. And neither are they allowed to do another act of war against the people by administering vaccines to we the people as well, Mr. Trump. Just saying. This Adrenochrome Act should be declared as an act of war against we the people in this country. With that fact ascertained, you, Mr. Trump, can declare this as a war on and against Americans on our own soil, which goes against their own laws, and declare the said military bases as enemy combatants and subsequently terrorists, and close them all down and arrest those involved. Not after the elections. Now. We the people are tired of weight clubs. Both Kim and Trump are in the positions to effect this change according to what they have stated. And I'm calling on them both now to honour their duties on behalf of the American, Canadian, Mexican and Costa Rican children housed in these death and harvest camps. Enough of the grandstanding of I am this and I am that, promises everywhere and yet little to nothing delivered. As the President and the trustee, you are now called to do actions on behalf of we the people. We the people expect you to deliver, given the alleged power you both have. This has been